Welcome to the lesson on cladograms and the family tree of life. In this lesson, we'll be talking about what a clade is that results in a cladogram and how to read it. We'll also be discussing the family tree of life with the 6 kingdoms and how they are all related as well. All right, let's go ahead and get started. A clade is a branching tree showing common ancestry. All classification is now done on the basis of genetics, not structure. So it's based on our study of DNA in these organisms and how they're related to each other. Cladograms are pretty intuitive. We've even seen them a little bit already in here this year. But the technical terms that go with these is that this bottom line that divides and produces all the different organisms is called the root. And this root is the common ancestor. As you travel up through, an internode is an ancestral species. So this would be an internode here, and this would be an internode. A node, a spot where the branch divides, is a speciation event. We talked about that in our last video lesson. And each of these tiny little offshoots up here in the clade are called branches. This would be an in-group, this would be a sister group, and this would be a second out-group. Okay? And you can tell, based on looking at the cladogram, what the most recent organisms are, and then what the oldest organisms are if you trace it backwards. Okay? All right, and we'll have some practice on that coming up in class. All right, now let's talk about the family tree of life. There are 6 accepted kingdoms: Archaebacteria, Eubacteria, Protista, Plantae, Fungi, and Animalia. Here's the cladogram for the family tree of life, the 6 kingdoms. Okay? Now, while you get these all written down with Eubacteria here, Archaebacteria, Eukaryotes, which branch into Protista, Plantae, Fungi, and Animalia, we have this code down here that we're going to be using. And P is going to stand for prokaryotes. And to be a prokaryote means that this organism does not have a nucleus. These would be the earliest organisms thought to exist on the planet. Opposite of that would be the eukaryotes. Eukaryotes do have a nucleus. We'll also use the symbol A for autotrophs and the symbol H for heterotrophs. Okay? Up here, the very beginning, is LUCA, which stands for the last universal common ancestor. Branches off into Eubacteria, which included prokaryotes, some autotrophs, and heterotrophs. Then branches off into Archaebacteria, which would be your prokaryotes and heterotrophs, and eukaryotes, which branched off into Protista, which are eukaryotes, some autotrophs, contains some autotrophs, and heterotrophs. You might remember this kingdom from earlier this year when we did our pond water lab. That was some of the organisms that you were looking at were members of the Protista kingdom. We have our Plantae kingdom, our plants, which of course are going to include eukaryotes and autotrophs. Our fungi are going to include eukaryotes that are heterotrophs. They feed off of other organisms. And our animalia are eukaryotes that are also heterotrophs. And there you have it. There's the family tree of life for the 6 kingdoms and the cladogram that goes with them. All right, let's take a look at this next video, which will expand on these concepts and maybe present it to you in a different way.